Putin is weakened by the bizarre standoff with Prigozhin of the Wagner Group. Don't write him off just yet. Vladimir Putin, president of Russia, appeared to be losing control of his country a little over a week ago. The rebel mercenaries were making their way toward Moscow with little to no opposition. The well-off in Moscow rushed to buy plane tickets. A military takeover appeared to be in the works. Then something unexpected happened. Putin allowed Yevgeny Prigozhin, the leader of the mutiny he had previously condemned as treason, to go into exile in Belarus. Prigozhin apparently capitulated after concluding that his mercenaries couldn't take Moscow without reinforcements from the regular army. Putin's reputation as an all-powerful autocrat seemed to have taken a severe hit. But Putin shouldn't be written off just yet. Since the dust had settled and some perspective had been gained, more and more Russia experts came to this conclusion last week. Diplomacy expert and Columbia University professor Steven Sestanovich agreed that Putin faces a number of challenges. But it appears that he still possesses the majority of the resources necessary to deal with them. Carnegie Endowment for International Peace's Andrew S. Weiss cautioned, "People would like to find new evidence that Putin is vulnerable, but it may be overstated. Wishful thinking can be very effective. Experts on Russia aren't on Putin's side or defending his brutal regime or the disastrous decision to invade Ukraine." Sestanovich argued that Vladimir Putin is the best case for term limits. "All they're saying is that he's been here before and made it through, and that after 23 years in power, he's not going anywhere without a fight." The bizarre standoff with Prigozhin is still largely mysterious. To defy Putin's order that he place his mercenaries under the command of the regular armed forces, the head of the Wagner Group, a so-called private military company, rebelled. According to the Wall Street Journal, Prigozhin planned to kidnap the Russian defense minister and army chief of staff to gain attention for his cause. Perhaps Prigozhin also anticipated support from his fellow military officers, but when it didn't materialize, he realized his cause was hopeless. The more perplexing question is why Putin wasn't warned by his intelligence agencies and why other military units didn't stop the mercenaries from marching on Moscow. Putin was staring down the barrel of a gun, Sestanovich said, when Prigozhin's men were a mere 125 miles from the capital. His primary objective was to stay safe while traveling through Moscow. That would have been undeniable evidence of his failure. Putin's brand is stability, Sestanovich argued. It's most important that he come across as normal. And a feeling that he's reclaimed leadership. As soon as the results were in, officials in Moscow rushed to pledge their allegiance to Putin. The Russian military and intelligence agencies have begun looking into the incident. Air Force commander and Prigozhin confidant, General Sergei Surovikin, is reportedly the subject of interrogation. Putin, meanwhile, has gone on the offensive, making a flurry of public appearances after staying out of the spotlight for 3 years due to the COVID-19 pandemic. His PR team is trying to play down the mutiny. As Sestanovich put it, it's even possible that Putin has been so shaken by the mutiny that he realizes he's lost touch with the politics of his own country. This has been a kind of wake-up heart attack for him, Sestanovich said. It will be difficult for him to convince everyone that his regime is still helping them out. Meanwhile, his assault on Ukraine has persisted. There was zero noticeable impact from the political turmoil in Moscow on the southern front. The general ironically constructed the formidable, Surovikin line of minefields and tank traps to defend the occupied Ukrainian territory from Russian forces while under interrogation. There were no reported cases of desertions or defections from any units. Despite widespread criticism of their incompetence, Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu and Army Chief of Staff General Valery Gerasimov appeared likely to keep their jobs after this episode. Russian and British media reported that the Wagner organization's Moscow recruiting office, which had closed briefly during the mutiny, had reopened and was taking new applications. As a result, it appears that Putin has decided not to disband Wagner, which has proven to be not only more effective than the regular army in combat but also more attractive to potential recruits due, in part, to its higher pay. Putin's military machine stands to lose up to 15,000 of its most skilled soldiers if Wagner goes missing. Some Western leaders are growing impatient with Ukraine's slow offensive. President Volodymyr Zelensky of Ukraine has admitted that development is slower than desired. However, Ukrainian officers have warned that it will take time to find vulnerabilities in the Russian defenses, and that fighting will continue until November. The United States and its allies can do little to change Putin's fate in Moscow other than, perhaps, do nothing. However, they can improve Ukraine's chances of success by maintaining military and economic aid. Putin is less secure now than he was before the mutiny, but that doesn't mean he's going to fall anytime soon. Now is not the time to give him any room to maneuver.